YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. And today we're reacting to another NFL mock draft. A couple weeks ago, did the first reaction mock that I've ever done. Took Daniel Jeremiah's first mock draft, reacted to it, broke it down. And a lot of you wanted more of these, told me to do more of these in the future, so here we are. Lance Zierlein, his mock draft came out yesterday, it was. And we're here to react to it. So don't think I've ever seen a Zierlein mock draft, but I am a fan of his scouting reports since like forever, so this should be interesting. This was brought to my attention through Twitter. A lot of people kind of going on rants about this mock draft. Yeah, some interesting picks in a good way maybe, and it's in an interesting way. So we'll break it down. We have a recent mock draft that went up earlier this week actually, so check that out. And then we'll have plenty more mock drafts to come as well. Plenty of NFL draft free agency coverage here. More content than anybody. So hopefully you join us for that. Subscribe, smash that like button. Check us out on Twitter. Constant NFL Talk there. Check out the Sided app as well. Link in the description and comments for that. Yeah, here's our Twitter. Just constant NFL Talk, about everything here. And I'll retweet this here. You can go check out this. You can win $250 and a Callaway driver. I'll pin a link in the comments directly to this. But it's, you can vote on who's going to win the Super Bowl, and you can win that prize there. So they're constantly giving away that Amazon gift card. So check it out there. But to the mock draft, Lance Zierlein 1.0. Yeah, he's got Trevor Lawrence going first overall. No surprise there. We don't have to break that down. Zach Wilson going second to the Jets. And, yeah, that's the same as my mock. I had Trevor Lawrence 1, my most recent mock. Trevor Lawrence 1, Zach Wilson 2. I think that all makes sense, and I expect it to happen at this point. 3, the Dolphins take Devontae Smith, and this is where the debate really comes into play here. Devontae Smith, I've seen Jamar Chase, I've seen Penei Sewell, even Rashawn Slater. I have Penei Sewell, the Oregon tackle. I think that's a little more important to them to upgrade that, but it's also important to upgrade the receiver position. But I think the difference between Sewell and the rest of the offensive line is bigger between some of the receivers earlier in the first and later in the first, which they have another first-round pick coming up. So, I like Sewell. I don't think Devontae Smith goes here, but it's a realistic pick. I think there's going to be teams that, make a big deal about, his thin frame, his body. Maybe he's too light. Maybe all it takes is one team, to not think that way. So maybe the Dolphins are that team. But yeah, I think it's realistic. I just don't think it's going to happen at this point. If they do go receiver, it might be more likely to be Jamar Chase. We'll see, though. But what would be interesting to see Devontae Smith pair with Tua Tagovailoa. The Falcons go Patrick Surtain. Yeah, I'm on board with, they need to go quarterback, but will they go quarterback? That's the question. When are the Falcons picking 4? They definitely, need a quarterback in the future. And when is a guy like Justin Fields or even Trey Lance going to be the third quarterback, off the board, only this year, So that's why I think they need to go quarterback. But, yeah, corners I don't really like taking super early in the draft in general. They take a long time to develop, and it's really not going to make or break your team. Cornerback that is at this point. But, when you have the opportunity to get a really good cornerback duo, right now or the future, that's pretty deadly. Cornerback becomes that much more valuable when you have a strong duo, because if you have one guy out there, it's not going to do a whole bunch. So adding Patrick Surtain, with AJ Terrell is pretty appealing. I still would not, I wouldn't take Surtain at 4. It's just too early to take a corner. I actually started watching this week. I started watching corner film, and I've seen a lot of these guys, live games too. And Surtain, really good press, really good physical. He's going to dominate the sideline. I do think you can kind of beat him if he's man coverage on inside routes. He tends to be chasing guys on the quick inside routes, specifically slants. So that's kind of if I had to knock him. He doesn't have elite speed. I don't really need him to have elite speed though, but it is good when corners are pretty fast. But I wouldn't use the 4th overall pick on him. We'll see if it happens. Again, I would suggest they go quarterback, but am I really thinking they're going to go quarterback? It's kind of up in the air. So that's a big one. Bengals go Kyle Pitts. Yeah, this is kind of a wild card pick, and I think it can happen. Kyle Pitts, top 3 on my board. I mean, when you see a guy, 6'6", maybe 6'5" and 3/4 that can dominate like this, and I think people are like tight ends don't really work out. The guys further mid to late rounds end up working out, but that's not a reason to pass on Kyle Pitts. You don't see a guy like this, can play in line, can play the slot outside, just dominant. Who's going to cover him? There's corners and safeties that have a hard time covering Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce's great, but yeah, I'm just having, in different ways, I'm having a hard time figuring out who's really going to cover Kyle Pitts. So just a dominant player that you don't see, let's say every draft. You don't see it really at all, ever. So the Bengals, throwing him in the mix with guys like Tyler Boyd, who plays in the slot, T. Higgins, who plays outside for Joe Burrow, could be pretty deadly. So I would like that pick. I think it's a little bit of a wild card pick. Zierlein went with the wild card pick here, and I'm not against it. Eagles go Micah Parsons. It seems to be somewhat of a popular pick there, and it very well could happen because the Eagles definitely need to upgrade their linebacker unit because it's probably the worst in football, the entire unit. Micah Parsons, a freaky dude, really rangy, really good blitzer. I wouldn't put it past him to be an edge rusher at times, even though he's going to be an off-the-ball linebacker. The reason why maybe this won't happen here is because the Eagles need to upgrade their linebacker unit, but they need some coverage from their linebackers. Especially bringing that Colts coaching staff over. They value coverage from their linebackers, and Parsons, maybe that's a knock on his game. He could work, and it's not terrible, but he could work on his coverage a little bit. So it could. It's not. I'm not saying it will happen, but that could scare them off of Parsons, especially 6 overall. But I do think it's a realistic pick. Lions taking Jamar Chase, very realistic. They could use a receiver. Golladay, Marvin Jones, both free agent. They could tag or sign Kenny Golladay. At least I would hope for their sake they do. Marvin Jones could be gone. Even if they have both those guys back, they could use another one. Jamar Chase is dominant receiver prospect. Really gets in corners' heads, and I'm not really talking. Usually think that you're talking with smack talking, but not really that at all. It's just what he can do. Sometimes he'll use his length to separate from guys, and then sometimes he'll kind of be in the act of doing the same thing, but he'll really throw you for a loop, thinking that you're separating and going to catch the ball deep, track the ball deep, but it'll come back to the ball. So he'll really play kind of mind games with cornerbacks, and you're just so dominant, do-it-all receiver. Tough finding a flaw to it. Maybe he doesn't get elite separation like Devontae Smith or his teammate from last year, Justin Jefferson, but it's not like he doesn't separate. But the Lions, that would be great. Panthers go Rashawn Slater. Yeah, this is kind of a wild card pick here that I can see happening. Because I think they would play him at guard to start, but remember they have Russell Okung, who's not going to be around forever at left tackle, and they could look to upgrade at the guard position, interior position, to help McCaffrey a little more running inside. So this is something that could happen. They're doing their homework on veteran quarterbacks. Maybe they don't want a rookie quarterback. So I do think it's not a popular pick here, but I do think it's realistic. Broncos go Caleb Farley. I've been doing my homework on the corners this week, actually starting with film. Farley probably is the most upside out of the group, the top tier group. He's really good at taking receivers off their routes. Long, athletic, of course. So the Broncos, could definitely add him there. But I'm almost at the point, do I take a corner in the top 10? I've never been a big corner in the top 10 guy. Right around there, though, 9. It's definitely a realistic pick. Cowboys go Penei Sewell. Yeah, I think Daniel Jeremiah had this too. I don't think Penei Sewell lasts here. I'm kind of just thinking he goes 3rd, but he won't get by the Bengals at 5. Kyle Pitts is a pretty appealing pick though. But yeah, if Sewell does go here, he'd probably start at guard day 1, opposite of Zach Martin, and then looking at probably having Biotish at center, Tyrone Smith at left tackle, Leo Collins at right tackle. And that's just a dominant, best offensive line, complete offensive line, but best in football. But again, Tyrone Smith kind of gets hurt a bit, and he was hurt last year. Leo Collins got hurt last year, missed the season. So Penei Sewell could be a dominant tackle as well. So kind of helps in multiple ways there. If he's there, they'll take him. I just don't see him being there. The Giants take Jalen Waddle. They could cut Golden Tate, could be there for another year or two, but it's probably a maximum of 1 more year. Looking at his contract, and they have, Darius Slayton's pretty solid, underrated receiver. Sterling Shepard, same thing. Do they have a legit number one, though? Probably not. So you probably could add Jalen Waddle. And, if you're looking to make, kind of insist on Daniel Jones, make him work, it's possible. Niners take Trey Lance at 12. If he's there, maybe too good to pass. Maybe they like him for the future. A lot of upside, really, really strong arm. Obviously can run. Accuracy is a little inconsistent if you have the nitpick here. The thing with him is it feels like everything, kind of the game in general, needs to be going, very well. For him to be playing very well, but tough to tell. Not the biggest sample size. But yeah, the Niners may not pass on him, but they are doing their homework on the veteran quarterback, so maybe they don't want to take a rookie quarterback. But if a guy like this is here, maybe he's not supposed to be here at 12, then perhaps. Chargers go Christian Darsaw. Seems to be a popular pick. Yeah, I think he would play left tackle for them right off the bat. So that could be ideal there for the Chargers. And again, it's definitely a realistic pick. The Vikings take Elijah Vera Tucker, tackle from USC. I actually like him at guard. He was originally a guard, had to fill in at tackle. He looked pretty good there. So you see the versatility. And people kind of like his upside at tackle. Like, hey, this guy could play tackle. It looks pretty good there. I'm not really sold on his, and he could get better, obviously, but I'm really sold at his tackle play, of the idea of the tackle play right away in the NFL. I think he could play very well, for being a 14th pick at guard right away. So if the Vikings took him, I'd say they probably put him at guard, but we'll see where he ends up. Probably definitely depends on where he ends up. Justin Fields drops all the way to 15 to the Patriots, so this is a big surprise, probably what people are kind of giving Zierlein some crap for about this mock. I don't think he drops this far. The Patriots would definitely take him. Let's see what he says about him. Who will have a chance to compete for you? Okay, he doesn't say really why he... Yeah, he doesn't really say why he had him drop to 15. If he dropped this far, I would assume that, for me, his negative is he kind of hangs on to the ball a little too long. What happens if he's on a team, if he's playing a defense that's kind of getting quick pressure? He can escape the pressure. He's strong enough to break the pressure, and he can throw on the run. But sometimes he kind of hangs on the ball too long, and it takes too long to kind of go through his head. What happens? So it's not it sounds like a major problem, but it's not something that pops up a whole bunch, I guess. But that would be the reason he would fall, in my opinion. Honestly, I don't know if the Vikings would pass on him. They would probably stash him for the future. I don't know. The Giants might have a hard time. I don't know if the Panthers, the Broncos would even pass on him. So that's interesting. I don't think he'd be there at 15, but again, maybe teams don't like that he hangs on the ball a little too long. We'll see. Cardinals go Azeez Ojulari. Yeah, Chandler Jones got hurt last year. How many more years in the Cardinals has he got? I think he still got the talent in him, obviously. Hassan Reddick is a free agent. No guarantee on him, too. Kind of a one-year guy, but that was kind of the 1 year playing the right position full-time, so I like him. We'll see if they re-sign him. Gardeck looked pretty good last year. They could move on from Kennard. So they could use a guy like Ojulari there for now and the future. I like him a lot. I guess the situation with him is he kind of looks like body type, looks like a 3-4 edge rusher, and I think he can be that. But he played more hand in the dirt, more like a 4-3 style. And NFL teams, 4-3 teams may be like, yeah, I don't know if he has the strength, the size. He's a pretty strong dude, freaky dude. But to do that, so some teams might not like him for that. But yeah, like him a lot. Took over in that Cincinnati bowl game. So Cardinals. I think they could go pass rusher. Maybe it's more likely. I hate drafting off need, but it's more likely in this scenario to go for maybe even a corner receiver. I don't know. Yeah, the problem with the corners are, once you get to this point, I don't know if there's that much of a difference, so you might as well wait, same time. So I don't mind the pick. Raiders take Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I had this pick as well. They need an edge rusher. I think they spend in free agency, and that was kind of my take. And Koramoah could be pretty appealing to a guy like Gus Bradley, kind of that utility linebacker. Excellent in coverage, very rangy, very fun to watch, super athletic. Kind of today's style, today's era linebacker. So Raiders will like them, like him, I think, at 17 if they kind of had that edge rush figured out. Dolphins take Gregory Rousseau. The Dolphins could afford to do this, I think, as their defense is pretty complete, but they took a receiver with the first pick, and again, you don't want to reach just because of need. that's kind of why I like the Sewell, third overall. And then you can kind of take there's some receivers definitely worth this pick here. But now at this point, you're not getting an offensive lineman. And their offensive line was better than expected last year, but towards the end of the year, it kind of started to go back to, or kind of went to where we thought. And that's what happens with NFL offensive line. Pretty much every NFL offensive line starts off pretty solid. The really bad ones are bad from the get-go, really bad ones. And they kind of wear down and their true identity will show. So I wouldn't base too much off an early year Dolphins offensive line. I would not expect that full season every year. So they do need to. And yeah, I don't want to reach off need, but they do definitely need to touch that up. Gregor Rousseau, though, in terms of their defense, would make sense because he's an upside guy. They wouldn't need a ton of production from him right away, and you're really not going to get that. But he can move around to different positions. Brian Flores is like that. Freaky dude, a lot of upside. Surprising one here, Washington goes with Elijah Moore from Ole Miss. I like Elijah Moore a lot. Super athletic, super twitchy, super fast, good footwork. Breaks tackles, too, after the catch. Home run ability. Big play after big play at Ole Miss. I guess, maybe why he wouldn't go 19th, or maybe the knock on him. Yeah, maybe a little undersized. I'm not one to base things off of size, really. If you can play, you can play. But teams may pass on him because he's about 5'9". But another thing is, a lot of it was kind of scheme-based. He was pretty much wide open every time. He deserves credit for that. But it's, playing from the slot, typically guys that play outside have schemed up plays to get them wide open at the college level. They tend to struggle a little bit at the NFL level because they see more press, more physical corners. I mean, the cornerback play from college to NFL is ridiculous. But yeah, a guy in the slot, he's really not going to see press or dominant slot corner play in the NFL even. I think outside corners are more of a difference than slot corner play. So I still think you can have success. They ran a spread offense, so it's a little different than Washington's offense. So it'll be interesting if they do this, but I guess the pairing of McLaurin and Moore would be pretty dynamic. I think pretty explosive offense. Need to find that quarterback though. Bears take Tevin Jenkins, who would play right tackle for them, opposite of Leno. Definitely possible they're looking for the quarterback of the future. It could be a veteran in the offseason, and they could look to protect him. Tevin Jenkins, a very powerful blocker there, which we're not really used to seeing guys like that in the Big 12. But I think Oklahoma State made it a point to run the ball more. Even Sanders, their quarterback, could run. So maybe that's why they went out and found a guy like that, and that's how he came to be. Then we go to the Colts. Jason Away from Penn State. Don't see that too often the first. I don't know if he goes first. Yeah, he's freaky dude. I'm not really blown away by his tape. I kind of, it's an interesting one actually, because I kind of view him as a 3-4 pass rusher, but he has the strength, I think, to play 4-3 with the Colts. Colts are going to run, but remember the Colts, they brought in Justin Houston, who was more of a 3-4 backer, pass rusher, and they made it work with him, and I think Houston's able to do that because of his freaky, strength. He's got more strength than you would think, and that's kind of, you kind of compare the two, I guess, as well, so maybe they see some of that. I didn't have him the first. Kwity Paye, this is an interesting one. I don't know if I agree with this one. Kwity Paye, it's pretty damn good value at 22. I think the Colts would rather go Kwity Paye than Away there. The Titans run a 3-4. I view Kwity Paye as strictly a 4-3 defensive end. Now the Titans kind of move guys around a little bit. Maybe they can put his hand in the dirt up there, almost like a 3-4 end. I wouldn't rule that out. I'm kind of viewing him as a 4-3 end though. So that's I'm hesitating a little bit, saying that's on the fit. I'm not in love with the fit. Jets go Travis Etienne. They could use a running back. Etienne with his receiving ability really upped that over the last couple of years. Speedy, strong runner as well. So the Jets, just had really no running game. So I could see that as well. They probably go. I mean, you're coming from the 49ers tree. You got Michael LaFleur, you got the Shanahan coaching tree. Will they value running back this much? That's kind of my thought process. It's more Shanahan and Lynch's thought process. So I guess we really don't know about LaFleur, but where he learned. You would think that maybe they don't take a first round running back. Maybe that's just me thinking that. Really interesting one here. The Steelers take Zaven Collins from Tulsa. Was the best defensive player in the country, won that award. Was he actually? And it's opinion based, I guess. But yeah, really good year, always around the ball. And this is interesting because the Steelers linebacker, really, but I actually see this one. I was actually watching Javon Collins, and I actually saw this. I thought he would fit on a 3-4 team that blitzes a ton, blitzes their inside linebackers a ton, and then could stunt or take a guy, move him outside, and this is a really good fit. It's not the Steelers' biggest need, and that's why people may get mad about this one. But it's a really, really good fit. Pairing him with Devin Bush, and you can blitz Collins a ton. And they took Bud Dupree, and I know they probably won't have Bud Dupree back, but they kind of stunt him. He would kind of come around and rush from the inside, and then you could take a guy like, if you want to run that same defense, you're already blitzing Collins up the middle, and you kind of can pull him, and he's got some experience doing that and rushing from the edge. And there even could be some snaps where they can rush him from the edge, kind of be the backup to Alex Highsmith there on the one side, because obviously TJ Watt's got the other side covered. So this makes a lot of sense. I actually thought the same thing. Javon Collins could fit teams that do this. Steelers, Ravens, and the Jaguars actually kind of want to do that. Getting that Ravens defense of scheme kind of going now moving forward, because they brought in Joe Cullen. But I really like the fit of this, and they will like it probably as well. But it's not the biggest need, so I could see why people get on them. But you can't really draft off need. So yeah, you could pair him with Bush. My knock on Collins is, kind of what is he? Does he have a firm position? But yeah, I guess open field tackling, and if he has to kind of break down, wait for the ball or attack it on an angle, it's actually not the best, So, but I think in a scheme like this, where you use him to blitz, you use him to rush, and kind of sit in coverage. He's really good, kind of sitting in the middle there in coverage and reading the quarterback. I think that's where you get the best of them. So a team like that. Jaguars take J.C. Horn. Yeah, they could use another corner. They'll value the cornerback. It's going to be like a Ravens-type scheme, and they're able to run their scheme. A lot of the blitzing and a lot of cover 0, cover 1. You only can do that with really good man corners. Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters. So you gotta build that. C.J. Anderson could be that. J.C. Horn can be that. So you're kind of building that right now for that. So that it makes sense. It's not that popular of a pick, but it's definitely understandable, definitely realistic. Browns take Christian Barmore. They could pair him with Sheldon Richardson. I kind of view them somewhat similar. So maybe you're preparing for the future. Maybe Richardson not going to be around for long. They could use more of a nose tackle. But yeah, Barmore's pretty good. He's a pretty good pass rusher for an interior guy. So maybe they move him. Brown, let's see what he else. Adding in talented interior rusher with the ability to play the run. Yeah. Pretty similar to Sheldon Richardson, though. So it's kind of the same. Not really. I'm not going to compare them, but the same style player, I guess. So that would be interesting. But, I think the teams will be all over the place with him. And they're probably, with Barmore, I think there's going to be some teams that value him as a top 15 player. But those teams doesn't mean those teams are going to take him. There might be another top 15 player or a better player that fell to them. And I think some teams maybe early second. I could see him kind of being all over the place there. And the Ravens take Javon Merrig from TCU. Got the chance to watch him the other day. Let's see what he says here. Ball hawking safety would represent me. Yeah. I'm having a hard time finding a negative to his game. Pretty damn complete safety. I like him at free safety, but they ran a lot of split. Him in Washington, they split the field quite a bit. So, and he's actually really good at diagnosing plays and coming up at the line of scrimmage and making tackles. He kind of got a free safety build to him, free safety body. And he's really good at tracking the ball, really good at making a play on the ball, pass deflection machine, pass breakup machine. So for all those combined, like free safety, but he's so good at coming up and making the play, which pretty damn rare from a free safety type guy. So I wouldn't rule out a strong safety. I think you can move him back and forth. Teams that run the split safeties, I think you can play single. I like him. I like him a lot. It's hard to find a negative to his game. The Ravens could definitely use a guy like that. They definitely could use some safety help in the middle of the field, and they typically bring their safeties up a lot. They'll run some cover 0, Will they view him as a fit, though? Like I said, I think he can do everything, but I think the Ravens like specifics. Can he do this at this high of a level? I would like it. I don't know if they go that route. I actually can see that with the Saints. They may lose Marcus Williams. I think that would be a really good replacement. Merrick's job actually might be easier with the Saints scheme, and he would be able to make big time plays. So I'd actually like that. Saints go Tyson Campbell, so getting ready for the future there. Maybe Marshawn Lattimore with Tyson Campbell for the future. Campbell, really lengthy, athletic guy. He said it too. Has outstanding length and long speed. Yeah, I think teams are going to be split on who's better, Tyson Campbell or Eric Stokes. I think Stokes probably better in man. Tyson Campbell. I don't have a problem with him running man. Could fit some cover 3 teams. Typically, the Saints like their corners to play some man. It's tough to say. I think more likely early second for him, but we'll see. Packers go Landon Dickerson, offensive lineman at Alabama, who did get hurt in that SEC championship game, but a stud. The talent is first round, late first round. Guy that you got to respect, too. Really tough dude, high motor. Could play center or play guard, probably a day one starting center, probably the best center in this class, but again, could play guard. I think this pick, and again, he can play guard, but I think this pick, and the Packers could look to go offensive line because they're probably not happy with how it played against the Bucs, and that kind of what stopped them short maybe in their eyes, along with some defense. But Corey Linsley, who was maybe the best center in football this year, the Packers center, is a free agent. So if they lose him, I think this pick becomes extremely realistic, extremely. But I would think they get Lindsey back. They find a way. Maybe not, though. Maybe the price gets driven up and they're confident they can make the center position look good in their scheme no matter who it is, which is very realistic to think. Typically tackles aren't, a little more important because you can't just take anybody and make them look good in your scheme. But center, so they may rather go the cheaper route while still getting a pretty damn good one here. So I think it becomes realistic depending on what happens with Corey Linsley. The Bills, Najee Harris, I think they need to upgrade their run game. Too much on the pass game, too much on Josh Allen. It makes his job extremely hard. The more and more the season went on, the less and less run game there was from the running backs, and that kind of took away plays from their wide variety of plays that they ran their playbook. Like play action. If you don't have a run game, you can't run play action. You just it's not smart. Najee Harris getting his involvement going in the passing game, I think, helps a lot. So this pick makes sense to me if he's there. Bucs take Jalen Phillips. I'm a big Jalen Phillips guy. On tape, I think he's the best pass rusher in the draft right now. Does that mean I will have him as the best pass rusher? No, because you got to factor in upside, and then you got to factor in his injury. Yeah, it says in the bottom here, due to lengthy injury history in the medical reports. Yeah, he had too many concussions where UCLA pretty much forced him to retire, and he did, but then he came back to Miami. And on tape, he is a very talented pass rusher. He was a top recruit, too, so it's not that surprising. He is very talented, so I guess it's just the worry is the maybe other guys have more upside. I don't know really about that either, but I guess the medical history. But the Bucs can do this. The Bucs can do that because they would like to get Shaq Barrett back to pair with Jason Pierre-Paul. They don't really have much rotation, so get Phillips in there, get him limited, so kind of test him out. Hopefully, he doesn't there's no injuries. And again, they could lose Shaq Barrett, but then Jason Pierre-Paul probably got one more year left until he does until he's a free agent. We'll see if they re-sign him. So Phillips could be the guy of the future. I would love this pick for the Buccaneers. Would love it. And the Chiefs go Greg Newsome. Like I said earlier in the video, I've been watching cornerbacks this week. Started on the cornerback tape. Big Greg Newsome fan. I guess injuries. Let's see. Does he say? He doesn't say anything about injuries. He hasn't finished nothing major, I don't think, but he hasn't really finished a complete season. Something pops up. He's pretty thin. Maybe that's why, and teams may not like that, but I love his game. Lengthy, athletic, sticky in coverage. He can play press, play zone, man, press man, zone. Really, really quick in his backfield and getting out of his breaks. Super quick out of his breaks. Saw him in the Ohio State game. The guy's everywhere. So I'm a big fan. I guess the question is, can he, thin frame, can he stay healthy full season? But it was a big Northwestern, maybe the best defense. I'd say the best cover defense, in the country. And a big reason is because of Greg Newsome. So I actually like that, like it for the Chiefs. Hasn't really got much talk at late first, but I kind of like him. I don't know if there's that much of it. I was saying earlier in the video, A guy like J.C. Horn, who's supposed to be the third corner, there's not that much of a difference between Horn and Newsome. Really, there really isn't. And I'm almost ready to say I like Caleb Farley and Patrick Surtain, but I don't think there's that much of a difference between a guy like Newsome and, there's a couple other guys I like Aaron Robinson from UCF. There's not that much of a difference in the guys, so, you can wait a little bit. You can wait a little bit, maybe a team that we thought take a corner, Broncos, Cowboys maybe, some think. If they've passed on one there because they like these guys as well. They can trade back up a little bit and take one. Very possible. So I kind of like that pick with the Chiefs. They got a couple free agent corners. And yeah, this would be the cheaper route for the corner too for them. And he's a ball player. So that's Lance Zierlein's mock draft. Definitely an interesting one. So you guys can let me know your thoughts. We can do more of these. It was requested, so that's why I went ahead and did another one of these here. But we got plenty of our own mock drafts on the channel. A recent one, 2 rounds, and we definitely got more to come. And plenty of NFL draft content as well, and offseason in general, free agency content already on the channel. More to come for that. Smash that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on. All of that be much, much appreciated. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.